Okay. Sorry, did you say you wanted to teach or learn first?
Yeah, I'll teach first.
Okay. We're going on lead chess?
Yep.
What's the study?
Asymmetric Benoni structures.
That would make sense.
Yep. And let me make sure it's hide next moves. It is not. Also, actually, okay, once you're thinking of a question, I'm going to upload another game. Because I played a game recently where I got completely wrecked. Like, absolutely destroyed. In the Benoni, and I don't really know how, but I really liked his approach to the opening. So, yeah, it might be a really good way of playing against it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, I should open up
As much ammunition as possible.
training you to literally beat me. It's a risky move. Right. So, this next game, the move order to come to the Benoni was a super weird one. So we don't really need to focus on that.
Okay.
But anyway, we get to a position like this,
Mm-hmm.
and here, Dinglerin was black, and according to Flores, he already makes a mistake. So Ding puts his knight on d4, and instead
Damn,
of
that was
d4,
my move.
yeah, I mean, like, it seems completely reasonable. Like, you'll see later why the knight may be misplaced on this square.
Mm-hmm.
But knight e5 apparently was the better choice, and the idea is that after bishop e2, black can get in this f5 move.
Okay.
And there's a really cheeky tactic. If white tries to play e takes f5, I'm not sure if that's the move I'd want to play, but there's a good move. Well, I guess a nice trick black can do.
I mean, looking at the checks, queen h4,
Yeah.
and after g3, I don't see.
Right, so given you have that queen h4 check, what move can you play?
Mm-hmm. Knight c4.
Yes, nice.
Uh-huh.
So apparently, after knight c4, bishop c4, queen h4, this is apparently good for black. And the point is, after this, it's seemingly white has won a pawn, and it's just gonna grab another pawn. But then black has a nice move here, and it's like I don't know. I guess it makes sense, but
Well, yeah, positionally too, it looks really bad for white. He can't castle either direction, and the rooks are coming to life, and the bishop's a monster.
yeah, fair enough.
But sorry, you said there's a tactic here?
I'm not so sure if it's necessarily a tactic. It's like just a good move, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this move makes a lot of sense. Like, you could just take on g6, black is still better there, but apparently you've got a more direct way to punish white's lack of coordination.
Like rook f5?
Rook f5's the move, Dylan's on it. Yeah, and the idea is just simply to take the pawn on d5. apparently you can play g takes h7, king h8, and queen c2 is just about getting out of trouble, but it's definitely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like there's so many like hanging things all over. Apparently queen takes d5 is the best way to continue. Yeah, and you can't just block with queen d2. There's apparently rook e8. There are like a bunch of moves that are apparently strong, but yeah, it just like
Yeah, you don't need to show me anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but piece activity is enough to give back the edge here.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so knight e5 was a better try. The knight d4 seems, I guess, still somewhat natural. White castled, b5, king h1, and this is the problem with the black knight on d4. Since black is unable to play the move c4.
Yeah.
Because how can white punish this move?
Yeah, before c4 was played, I was thinking maybe the reason the knight was misplaced was because of some b4 move, but the d pawn, aids to the defense of the knight. So I guess the whole purpose is that black can't expand like he normally would.
Right, exactly.
And also the knight can't retreat anywhere.
Yeah, true. Actually, in some Kalashnikov positions, I get this knight almost stranded like this as well. So yeah, it's one to watch out for.
What was your question?
Yeah, so after c4, my question is, how does white punish this move?
He can just win a pawn with bishop takes d4. Bishop takes d4, and if I don't know, if bishop takes d4, that might not be winning a pawn. I was thinking after bishop takes d4, c takes d3, bishop takes g7, king takes g7, and queen takes d3. That's winning a pawn, but
yeah.
Let me look again. Maybe just bishop takes.
I don't think you do win a pawn, so find the line that doesn't use a pawn.
Probably bishop takes c4, and maybe knight has a desperado of knight takes f3, but rook takes f3, and our pieces are more active even if it's equal material.
Okay, so firstly, with the line bishop takes d4, like, did you find the line?
Well, I mean, if bishop takes d4 for black, that probably is.
Takes d4.
Right. Okay, I guess this wins a pawn.
It doesn't.
Oh.
What's the move?
Bishop takes b2.
Yeah. And it gives white as a slight edge here, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, bishop d4 wasn't the move. Bishop c4 looks like it might be a punishing move, but as you said, knight takes f3 as desperado is actually good. And
Really?
yeah, apparently the position is equal after gf3 and bc4.
I was thinking rook f3.
If rook f3, I mean still bc4, and
I mean, just rook a f1 and white looks pretty good.
the line it gives if rook a f1 is to meet this with either queen e7 or rook b8. And I guess that's the point, like this bishop is putting some serious pressure on his pawn, and the pawn might struggle to
Bishop d4?
move. Apparently, yep, but bishop d4 is the best move, and takes. And this is just equal apparently after queen b6.
Okay.
If you take here, I take here.
Yeah, and I guess there's not serious pressure on the file.
Right. Yeah, so so in this position, then after c4, what's the way to punish it?
Bishop b1.
Right. Yeah. So we just talked about how the knight has no retreat squares.
Yeah.
So instantly, black is like struggling a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, queen f6 is the only move.
Queen f6, rook
b6 runs into rook d1.
Yeah.
And I guess the knight is lost. The reason why queen f6, why is rook d1 not working?
Is there some weird like knight f3 and like queen
knight
takes
f3, gf3?
Queen takes b2.
Not queen takes b2.
No?
Queen takes b2.
Oh, okay.
White is better after bishop c2.
Yeah, moves the bishop. Yeah, I guess queen takes f3.
Queen takes f3.
And bishop takes
it's
b2.
Quite a tricky line.
So it's not the obvious bishop takes b2.
Oh, no. Yeah, bishop takes b2 is actually also completely fine
Okay.
for winning. So yeah, well, winning plus 5 to plus 2. Sorry, plus 1.5 to plus 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so in this position after queen f6, apparently the way to continue is bishop g5, and yeah, black is gonna really struggle to defend everything. Like queen e5 just met with f4.
Yeah.
And
Queen e8.
with queen e8, like, okay, you've still got protection on it, but you're rolling these pawns with f5, which will be the break we're going to take a look at today.
Okay.
So yeah, c4 cannot be played for those reasons. I guess the knight is a bit loose.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, what was played was queen d7. Let me see if Flores has any comments about these moves. Okay, so queen d7, rook e1, b4, f4, and now black plays a weak move, which is h5, and Flores says this move is hard to understand.
Yeah.
Is it possible that black did not expect white's reply? So what was white's reply here?
f5 looks pretty natural now that the light squares are weakened.
Yeah, and I think it's especially a nice idea to try when the knight can't hop in to e5.
Mm-hmm.
So just as something to remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why h5, because he's expanding on the queen side, not the king side.
Yeah, and it makes like, maybe you play h5 because I don't even know.
Maybe
like,
one day he wants to
h5
go.
is an idea in the Benoni, but yeah.
I mean, normally the idea is like king h7, bishop h6, right? To try to trade.
Whoa. No, not in the Benoni. Maybe in the King's Indian when there's a pawn on e5, but you don't want to trade the dark square bishop ever.
Okay.
Yeah, this is black's strongest piece. So I think h5, the idea is to go h4, h3, and just create this like permanent threat on the white king if ever there's some tactics there. But yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem too relevant in this position. So f5 was played. Bishop e5 was the response. And here, White played bishop takes d4, bishop takes d4, and white to play.
Queen h6 looks pretty juicy. Or queen g5. I mean, queen h6, the threat is f6.
So queen h6 probably forces bishop g7.
Okay. That's not really what I wanted. Maybe f6 right away then.
So if f6, king h7.
And we've ruined our attack. I don't know, still looks pretty dangerous. Maybe bishop e2 with threats of sacking on h5 sometime.
Right. I don't even know how you're supposed to find this continuation, which is why I feel like it's maybe high risk, high reward to go down these attacking lines, because it's actually not too easy to find. So stay on that f6 line of thought. So if f6 king h7, there's a killer move. Well, a move that results in a killer move 2 moves later.
Can you hear the guitar in the background, by the way?
No, not really.
Okay. f6, king h7. Well, I mean, maybe e5's an idea, preparing like something that takes advantage of the pin on the g-pawn, but we don't even have a threat on the g-pawn yet. So, I don't know, I'm looking at
You said e5?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it activates the bishop towards the king, which would be part of it, but I mean, move order in this sort of thing is really important, and I don't know if like e5 now or queen g5. But queen g5 seems slow, maybe like even queen d8 or something.
Right. You're definitely thinking along the right lines.
Maybe there's a line like queen g5, queen d8, queen takes h5, g takes h5, e5, check, and then like a rook lift.
What was the starting move?
Queen g5. I don't
So
know.
what's your move after? Yeah.
Queen g5, queen d8, queen h5, gh5, e5 check, king, I don't know.
How is it e5 check?
Because of the bishop discovery?
Ah, you're talking about after f6, okay. So f6, queen d8.
We're talking about the starting position
No,
after
sorry.
f6, king h7, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So queen g5.
I don't know. That doesn't seem like it would work because yeah, there's not a strong enough mating net there.
Right.
Maybe something simple like rook f3. Can't be bad.
Rook f3 can't be bad, third best move, but there's a winning combination. So I'm going to play a few of the moves because it's still going to be tough to find the win. But the idea is after f6, king h7, e5 is the move. And the point is after bishop e5, after bishop e5, you can sack the rook because you have a really strong move in this position. So I guess the bishop was potentially a defender of the king, and the rook on e1 was less important than the bishop.
Bishop f5. With the idea of g takes f5, queen g5? No, because rook g8. Also, bishop f5 just doesn't really... I mean, it threatens the queen, but after the queen moves, maybe there's nothing.
Yeah, if the pawn takes, then that would be winning. Why? After queen g5, what's the problem with rook g8?
Rook g8... Oh, queen h5, yeah.
Yeah. So here, apparently, black is just completely fine after, let's say, a move like queen b5, just moving.
Yeah, it's not forceful enough.
Yeah. So...
Let me keep looking.
Yeah.
I guess queen g5 threatening h5.
Fine
queen
defense.
Queen g4, I guess.
Queen g4 defense, yes.
Rook f5?
Yes, rook f5.
Yeah.
The only move to win in this position. So you would have had to see rook f5.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so it's tough. But yeah, this is essentially how the game went. The game went e5 first, and after bishop e5, rook e5, d5, f6, king h7, and rook f.
What about if pawn takes e5 instead of bishop?
Yeah, if pawn takes e5, what would you play here as white?
I guess f takes g6.
F takes g6 is winning. The best line is...
There's also just f6 with queen f6 coming, or queen h6 coming.
Yeah. And again, this king h7 runs into rook f5. So, e4 is apparently a try. And yeah, there's no queen h6 here because of bishop f6. So you do have to be careful still in this attack. But you're completely fine after this rook takes. And yeah, apparently there's just nothing. Like, you're threatening to take the bishop and go queen h6,
Mhm.
and there's very little black can do.
Okay.
Yeah?
Good one.
So, okay, after rook f5, bf5, what's the finish? Just to double check.
Queen g5.
Yeah, exactly. Queen g5.
And more importantly than threatening mate, we're threatening bishop f5.
Of course, of course. Who wants to mate when you can fast win the queen and just laugh at them?
Not me.
Yeah,
It's a
so
nice one.
that was the f5 push. So I feel like, in general, f5 is more of a rare move. Because often f5 can actually lead to white giving up the e5 square, which if black can get a knight onto, like imagine in this position, if I was a knight here, it would just like cover all of these weak points.
Mm-hmm.
So f5 is sometimes, that's why sometimes you play this e5 first, so that there's a pawn there, and then you play f5, so that like no piece can occupy the square.
Okay.
But I guess in positions, especially once h5 has been pushed, then it's a serious consideration.
Yeah. It seems like for f5 to be a super big threat, black needs to make some inaccuracies first. Like misplacing the knight and pushing h5. But
Yeah. Yes, I can read the final remarks. Basically what I just said. So yeah, f4, f5 worked particularly well because black had weakened his kingside of h5. And also, the trading of pieces favors black in this position. And black could have proved this by playing the natural knight e5, followed by f5, disrupting white's center. Black's biggest mistake was to play knight d4, because this knight needs protection. As a consequence, black was unable to advance the majority in a natural way with c4.
okay. Hey, let me be right back. One second.
Sure, no worries.
Go see Mama. Okay. All right, bring it on.
Okay. So that was f5, and that's the thing. Like when I skimmed through this chapter, I was like, does Flores really understand Benoni? Because this f5, I feel like it's not really that relevant of a theme. Like, just to show you how this position came up, like this isn't really a Benoni. Like, well, I guess it kind of is, but like,
No, there are so many transpositions, like
yeah,
in this whole book, like leading to these structures that, yeah, sometimes they're less opening motifs and more just, I don't know, broad ideas.
right, yeah, yeah, cool. The next one I think is a very useful move, and also it actually ties in with the game I wanted to show you after that. So let me download this. How do I do this? Oh, now it's not letting me. Okay. Alright, so we can look at this after. But yeah, so this game, played by two strong grandmasters. We have this position. Black gets in his classic b5 break, ab5, ab5, and white to play.
By the way, one of the things that I'm starting to remember about this going through this book is that uh, they feature a lot of shocking mistakes from very, very strong players, and it raises our confidence as a result.
Yeah.
It's like, how can they play this way?
How did Ding play knight d4? What a loser.
My first thought is b3. And if takes, then I think the pawn on b5 is more of a weakness. Similarly, if I am allowed to take on c4. But
Do you have time? If b3, what if black hits you at b4?
maybe b4 then. b4 is much better because it also takes the c5 square from the knight. And you're going to use the c3 square as a blockade.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. b4 is such a strong idea when timed correctly, and this is exactly how the game went. So instead of b4, if white plays just a slow move like bishop h2, black can just jump in immediately with knight c5, and a game could follow like this, where black maneuvers his knight, starts rolling his queenside pawns, and it looks like maybe black has blocked things up, but really he has things under control after knight e5. I guess the c4 pawn isn't hanging for some reason. Probably a discovery with the knight. Yeah, so apparently it's saying after bishop c4, just knight a4 is really good. With lots of pressure on this. Yeah, so in the game, I don't know if this was a game, I'll check the notes in a second. But this is just an example of how black mobilizes his queenside pawns. Let me see if that was a game. I don't know if this was a game, but anyway, this just shows how white can kind of play these logical moves, but actually just gets crushed. So here, b4 is the right move. So Flores says, this is a critical moment for white. Black will soon play knight c5, b4, and begin to create serious threats on the queen side. Hence, the only reasonable continuation is b4.
Can you hide the moves?
Huh?
Can you hide the moves?
Okay. Sure. Oh, the moves should be hidden.
I see.
Oh, but yeah, that's just showing the bishop h2 line.
Okay.
So, here, c takes b3 was tried, which is not a good idea. Instead of c takes b3, what black should now do, since the queen side is kind of static, is try and play on the king side with something like this.
Okay.
But it's not too clear how black will make any progress.
Yeah. He doesn't want to play f5 at some point?
Maybe f5 is an idea, yeah. Maybe knight fd7.
Yeah. Maybe f4 is the way to play against f5?
Apparently not f4. f4 apparently runs into knight d3, and for some reason you're not dropping a pawn.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, you actually don't drop a pawn. Because that takes. There are two options here. Black can play a move to regain the pawn, which is bishop c3.
There's also f5 right away, right? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So f5 is maybe the more dynamic try.
So go on with your line of winning the pawn back, though.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't. Like, okay, if queen c3, then sure, you win the pawn on e4. But if rook c3, yeah, it just gives f5 and says the position is dynamically equal.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is winning a pawn, right?
This is winning pawn, exactly. Yeah, e5 can't be played,
Yeah.
can't be played. This is coming. So yeah. So I guess, yeah, be careful of this knight d3 idea. So I guess, yeah, it's not like the game is completely over after b4, but black does need to know how to respond to it, and Gusinov didn't, played c takes b3, queen b3, and if black were to try knight c5, how would you approach this?
So I'm not sure that maybe queen takes b5, and if queen takes b5, knight takes b5, knight c takes e4, or either knight, I guess, but let's go with the c
Too
knight.
unnecessary. Don't allow black any counterplay.
But I thought this was still winning a pawn, the d pawn, after I go f3. And then I'm taking on d6
You might
next.
be right. So what's the line? Queen b5?
And if queen takes, knight takes, pressure on d6, but black can take on e4 with either knight, but then I have f3.
So here, white is doing well after either rook c6, or apparently knight c7 as well. Knight c7 looks a bit weird.
Knight c7.
But yeah, rook c6 seems, I guess, somewhat logical.
Why not f3?
f3, what's the problem? Not really a problem, but...
maybe black can just take on d5.
No. Taking on d5, does that not just hang a piece for black?
White's bishop is hanging.
Very true. So why is taking d5 not even suggested?
I guess I was also going to say that knight takes d6 was a threat, but black always has rook takes c1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why not knight takes d5 here, but let's see.
Oh, it's actually quite a simple tactic.
Is it rook takes c8 followed by rook takes e4? Or pawn takes e4?
Yep. Well, not pawn takes, because then you'll...
Oh, right, rook takes, yeah.
Yeah, rook takes. Cool. So...
Alright, so the reason this doesn't work...
Well, that's the reason.
Well, no, I mean, the problem with f3?
The problem with f3, it's not really a problem, but apparently it's rook takes c1.
Are we not winning the d pawn?
What, white?
Yeah.
How do you want to recapture the rook?
With the rook?
You may capture the d pawn, but also black can take on d5.
Okay, sure.
Hitting the bishop, so...
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead, after this knight c5 move, yeah, taking on b5 is probably better, but apparently easiest is just queen b4, and now you're threatening both knight takes and you're making sure you don't drop the e4 pawn. I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah. This still looks very shaky for white, somehow. I feel like all my pieces are like tied down.
Yeah. But apparently you're just fine here. Yeah, so apparently it's giving some line where you go bishop h2, king h1, and then f3.
Mm-hmm.
Just to solidify the center and then go for winning this pawn.
Make sure the bishop's not hanging.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, after c takes b3, queen takes b3, instead of knight c5, black tried d4. But here, it just wasn't working after knight b5. Takes on c1, takes on c1, takes on e4, queen takes b4. And since white has the bishop pair, white's better.
Yeah, the dark square bishop has no targets.
Right.
That's one thing I always love. I always love getting positions like this, where black thinks he has a good piece, but doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an example of b4 at work.
Cool.
Can be quite dangerous. And yeah, in my game,